Hey, Justin, I'd like to ask you to reflect on a couple of things. One is the loss of your teammate Von Miller to the injury. And then secondly, Aqib Talib announced his retirement today. And I was wondering if you could reflect on what the couple of years you played with him meant to you.
Yeah, man. Losing Von is, I mean, it's tough. It's difficult. And I think the thing that hits home the most is seeing how much he prepped for this year and how much hard work he put into it. And then being out there with him, during camp and leading up to the first game. I mean, you could just tell, like, he just took another, at least since I've been here with him, I could just see there was a difference in his approach and his demeanor to this season. And on the field, off the field. And that was the thing I think I was the most hurt for him about, was seeing that we won't be able to see how great he was going to be this year. Firm believer that mentality that he had this offseason, though, he'll transition that into rehabbing and getting back to where he needs to be even better next year when he comes back. So it's just disappointing, man. And it's a huge, I mean, beyond words, huge loss for our defense. And talking about moving on to Aqib, I mean, getting to know him, man, he was such a big part of, the type of player that I am now, and how I, talking about how I study film, like him, Darius Stewart, TJ Ward, Chris, Robe, like those guys, man. And talking about Aqib, like, he's one of those guys that you just love to have on your team, always has your back. And I mean, he's had a heck of a career. And I'm 35 picks. I think it's 10 touchdowns. I'm honestly surprised he didn't stick around a couple more years to try and get the touchdown record. But I'm happy for him, man. I know he's left such a huge impact on so many guys, myself included. And so I'm happy for him. And he's, I mean, a heck of a career. I'm honored and blessed to be able to say I played with him for, I think it was 2 years. So.
Next up, Brandon Cristal.
Justin, how do you balance picking up the slack as a defense for the loss of Von versus putting too much pressure that you guys have to pick up slack and make sure that the guys filling in with Malik and Jerry don't feel that pressure and try to press and do too much?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. There's no, for Malik or Jerry, or any other guys, like there's no replacing Von. Like there's no, hey, you need to step up and step in there and do what Von does and put all the pressure on them. I mean, Von, we've seen how dynamic Von is and what he does. I mean, literally the best in the league. And so the onus is on, in my opinion, it's on the team in general. There's so many plays that Von makes that, makes the offense's job easier, makes obviously the defense's, other guys on the defense's job easier, special teams, easier field position and things of that nature. So it's going to take, in my opinion, a whole team effort, right? It's going to take all of the defense, like you said, myself, Kareem, Terrell Casey, both AJs, Bryce, Shelby. Like, it's going to take all of us to be able to help guys like Malik and Jerry, so we're able to put them in positions to make more plays, just like Von puts us in positions to make more plays. It's up to Drew, Court, Dalton, Garrett, Graham, Phil, Melvin. Like, it's up to those guys to be able to make more plays, whereas Von probably made a lot of plays to set our offense up to have good field position and to move the football. Same thing with our special teams. So that's just my take on it. I feel like it's going to be a group effort, a concerned group effort. But especially on the defensive side of the ball, yes, it's not just one guy that has to step up and fill in for Von. It's going to be the whole defense for sure.
Next up, Eric DeLalla.
Hey, Justin, you were in the team's Inspire Change video that they released. Why was this the right program to choose and to go about creating change this way?
Yeah, Allie and Liz and a bunch of other amazing people around the building had, come up with some ideas and things in certain categories, as the video Inspire Change alluded to. And it was just important because I feel like it covers everything that we talked about when we had that team, when we kind of canceled practice and we had the team like the meetings for the day on kind of just like social justice initiatives. I feel like that kind of covered the broad range of everything that was on a lot of guys' hearts and minds. And it was really, I think the most important thing to see about this is it's player led and player driven. This isn't any ideas that that have nothing to do without like the players say so. And so everything that you see in the Inspire to Change and the categories and then the bullet points below and how specific the details get within those bullet points, it's all player led. And it's something that, you know, we keep seeing week in and week out is really important to a lot of guys. And so we'll just have to make sure, like we said, to make sure we're focusing on football, but also to know like, hey, we are doing some stuff to make some changes happen. You know, maybe it's just starting in Colorado, but the changes are going to be coming. So.
Next up, Mike.
Yeah, Justin, as a safety who plays kind of a deep center field and also comes up to help in the run, how difficult is this Tennessee team for safeties when you got a guy who can pound and grind like Derrick Henry, and also Tannehill is known to be an impact deep passer?
Yeah, it's tough. I think that's one of the things that obviously Tennessee does the best. You know, Tannehill's a great game manager, so in watching the film, like, he rarely makes mistakes that the defense can capitalize on. And then, you know, it's also a little bit easier on his plate when you have someone like Derrick Henry who can run the football as effectively as he can. You know, great offensive linemen, their receivers block really well on the edges. And so that's why there's a lot of open lanes, or you'll see corners having to tackle you know, Henry one-on-one in open space. And those are the types of things that, you know, that they like to set up and they feel like they get great success with. And, you know, we saw that towards the tail end of the season and why they had so much success, you know, going to the AFC Championship game. So it's going to be a tall task for our defense. You know, we got to be able to stop the run. Obviously, the run is a big part of the game. And we got to have to make sure that all 11 guys are a part of that. And then once we stop the run, we're going to have to do, you know, what we've always did, or at least the trend was at the end of the season. And the biggest thing is eliminate the big plays. Like, we've seen the defense be consistently good for a couple series, and then it's that one big play that's given up that kind of puts them in field goal range or even helps them score a touchdown. And that's really our Achilles heel towards the end of the season. So those are the kind of things that, you know, thinking about defensively that we're going to have to be able to capitalize on.
Next up, Woody Page. Okay, we'll skip Woody. We'll go to Teron Davenport from ESPN Tennessee.
Yeah, Justin, you and Kareem Jackson, you guys are two of the better safeties coming down, especially in that alley defending the run. When you're going against a guy like Derrick Henry and that stiff arm, I mean, how do you go about overcoming that, and how would you rate his stiff arm?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, one of the best, if not the best in the league. He's such a big guy. So, you know, when you get out into open space, you know, he's athletic enough to kind of just like leap over you, or like you said, he has long arms, so he's able to extend his arm before you can even make contact with his body. And so it's tough. And I mean, the best way to defend it is to get multiple guys to the football, you know, try and eliminate as many one-on-ones as you can. Try and meet him in the hole before, you know, he kind of gets ahead of steam and can break out to the second level. And so that's why it's important for us, especially in the second level, to be able to, you know, decipher, you know, run, pass, and be able to help, you know, our front seven get him down before he's able to get to the second level, because we see he's obviously more than capable to do that. And that's going to be one of the bigger challenges for us. So, but a challenge we feel like we can obviously hold up to, and not even hold up, but kind of exceed in. So really looking forward to it.
Last two, Troy, then Zach.
Justin, when I've talked to you about it, part of it with the social initiatives, it was important to players to have the organization's support. Vic said it kind of happened organically, that the organization is behind it. We saw that John Elway donated $100,000 to one of the social initiatives. How important is that for you guys as you're trying to create lasting change, that you have what is clearly visible support from the organization now?
Yeah, it is important. You know, you never you don't want to be in a situation where you're speaking out on things and then you feel like, you know, you're not being supported in the stuff that you're kind of speaking out on, especially when it pertains to, you know, your life and specifically, and you feel like it's happening to you specifically. And so, you know, it's great seeing the support that's going on around the building. And I just hope as the season goes on and, you know, and changes are starting to happen and things are happening, you know, not only in Colorado, but just around our country, that, you know, those things will stay true, because I really do think a lot of people are having a change of heart, which is always a good thing. So I am really excited about that.
Final one, Zach.
Hey, Justin, without Todd Davis on this defense, do you think you're going to be making more checks on the field for this team? And what does this defense lose without having Todd there?
Yeah, Todd was a great leader, man. You know, he's one of those guys that, not that you worry about everyone, but he was just one of those guys that I knew I could rely on. Like, if I happened to miss something or if I forgot, you know, a certain check, like he's one of those guys that you know, you could just rely on to make checks or to kind of be on top of the areas that you may have missed. And so, you know, losing someone like him, I know it's kind of said all the time, and I don't mean to just say it, and I'm not saying it just to say it, but there's no replacing someone like Todd. And I think the biggest thing that he brought was that leadership and tenacity, like on game day, every single day, every single play, just how intense he was and how focused he was to the attention to detail. There's really no replacing someone like Todd. And with that being said, though, you know, AJ, Josie obviously getting a bigger role, and we're going to have to just be able to capitalize. And Josie is more than capable of doing that. Obviously, he's been in that room with Todd and has learned a lot from Todd. Excuse me. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing Josie, you know, step up and kind of take realm of you know, the position, and out there, him and AJ being able to do what they can do. But yeah, there's no way you can, you know, like I said, everyone says it, but there's no way you can replace someone like Todd, especially the leadership aspect of what he brought to the team.